News now.
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:36. This Friday morning is just chugging along here. Thanks for coming along on the ride with us. It's 7:05. Hans von Spakovsky, legal expert, former Justice Department lawyer, talk about Trump turning himself in yesterday. 7:35. Jack Spencer is an expert on nuclear waste management, and we'll ask him if it's wise to flush radioactive water into the Sea of Japan.
Is that even a question?
I mean, I'm no expert. At 8:05, Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears will join us. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Patrice Onwuka.
Hey, happy Friday, Larry.
Thank you, Patrice. And joining us right now is Laura Hanford. You remember Laura. Now, she had written about and was a chief advocate for Sage's Law that sadly died in the Virginia Senate thanks to the Democrat majority there. Sage's Law simply said that teachers and administrators and counselors at Virginia public schools were prohibited from keeping secrets of a sexual nature from parents about their children. And mostly this, of course, is because of the case of Sage. Sage Blair, at a school under much pressure from her peers, just 2 weeks into a new school, went to counselors and said that she was really going to transition as a male yes. student. This was kept from the parents. And the next tragic events that came there, without the parents' intervention, this is a girl who had had some mental health issues in the past. This girl ended up being sexually assaulted at the school in a boys' bathroom, ultimately ended up running away from home and getting caught up in sex trafficking with horrific results. And now, and of course, again, this law, Democrats, the majority in the Senate, Patrice, took the side of the teachers who allowed this to happen and the counselors in the school system that allowed it to happen, rather than on the parents who should have been clued in on this. Laura Hanford joins us now with an update, not just on the law, but on Sage Blair herself. Thank you, Laura, for joining us.
My pleasure, Larry. It's good to talk to you. Good morning, and to you too, Patrice.
Good morning.
I hope I summarized that well. There's a lot to this story, but what is the latest now?
You're right. And if people want to get an update and a refresher, my story is in the Federalist. The title is Virginia Teen Trafficked Twice, and that's a good way to get the details and a tie-in to the policies involved. But the great news is that that as of Tuesday this week, Sage's legal team, which is a fabulous, really top-notch group on parental rights. So her legal team has filed a lawsuit against the Appomattox School Board, the two counselors in Appomattox who specifically were involved in her case, against the superintendent of Appomattox, and also against this terrible attorney in Maryland who basically represented her and was responsible for her getting tossed to the wolves again in Maryland because of the actions that she took and the lies that she got Sage to tell.
So, Laura, can you walk through both sets of those, the lawsuit, but tackling the different people who are being sued? So talk to us about how the lawsuit is going to hit the school superintendent and the school officials versus the public defender.
Right. And I will say it's going to be a very bad back-to-school kind of experience there, but nowhere near as bad as what Sage went through. There's just no way to make it up for what Sage went through because of the actions of the school. But it's just very good to see that finally the wheels of justice are starting to turn on this. So basically the complaint is alleging that the school failed its responsibilities in many ways and actively put her in harm's way because of not protecting her, because of not letting her parents know what was going on.
Yeah.
And there's various very clear complaints that are laid out. It's about a 55-page complaint, and it's not just her civil rights. There was a Title IX complaint that she was, from the very beginning, they had a report the first or second day that she had been bullied and harassed and threatened on a school bus. And there are things that you need to do with Title IX to, for reports of a sexual assault that never happened.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say real fast, because this is part of the problem and why Sage's Law was so important. and correct me again, Laura, if I get this wrong, but the administrators did not do what they would normally have done with this sexual assault in the boys' restroom, because by doing so, it would have notified the parents, and the parents would have obviously said, what was my daughter doing in the boys' room? And that would have, quote unquote, outed her to her parents. So instead, they'd rather cover up the sexual assault. Am I reading too far into this, or is that exactly why they did that?
I think that's basically true. I remember you were saying in a past time we talked that secrecy has a domino effect, and that's true. One lie begets another, because you kind of have to, cover it up a bit. And so that is what happened. There were things going on that Michelle was never told about, and that she could have taken action to address if so. I mean, her daughter was very vulnerable. She was coming off a summer where she'd even had some inpatient treatment and hospitalization. These were all things she had told the school about. And the school did what the old Northam guidelines recommended you do. Yeah. They didn't treat her declaring as a boy as something that was potentially related as any sort of mental health issue. They just said, oh, okay, it's your identity. We'll instantly affirm you. So they put this 95-pound girl, tell her to go be in the boys' bathroom. Yeah. And meanwhile, and no parent would allow that.
Of course
That's insane. I mean, no sane parent, but her parents didn't know, and these are not uninvolved parents. I mean, this is, that's one of the ironies in this whole situation, is we're not talking about a parent who was uninvolved, who wasn't watching the signals. She'd had her under her mom had been working with her prior school very well to address things that would come up.
And
but in this case, because this,
sorry to cut you off there, Laura, but just shifting over to the public defender's angle, because I think that's also an important piece here, which is trying to separate the state trying to separate a child from their mother, a child from their parent. Talk about that part of the lawsuit.
That's right. So when Sage ran away after just being terrified of what happened in that bathroom, she was picked up and for 9 days disappeared, and then rescued in Maryland. But in Maryland. And one of the things that you'll see in the complaint is that she had expressed a desire to go home, and no one listened. And somehow, by the time her parents drive from early in the morning to go get to the courthouse, then they have this public defender suddenly claiming on their daughter's behalf that Sage doesn't want to go home. And then that precipitates the whole sequence. But this defender lied. She told Sage her mom didn't want her anymore. I mean, this is a child who's
goodness.
After 9 days of being trafficked.
Horrible. Laura Hanford, thank you for the update on this. We're happy that the lawsuits are happening. I can't wait for the Appomattox County School Board to say, hey, we couldn't, our hands were tied. We had to follow Ralph Northam's model policies, considering all the Northern Virginia school districts are suing and saying they won't follow Youngkin's model policies. And it also reminds everybody as the election draws near that the Democrats blocked this law because they want to protect the school administrators and keep parents from knowing what's going on with their own children. Sexual secrets they're keeping from their parents. We got to leave it there. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I get angrier and angrier when I hear that story. I want to tell you about my friends at Closet